I'm living the life I curated. And you can't do that working for anyone else.
Ah, that is so well said. So well said.
This podcast is not a source of legal advice. No two legal cases are the same. Contact an attorney if you require legal assistance. Mighty MERP is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your favorite apps and players. But the best way to experience the show is to visit mightymerp.com. mightymerp.com.
So, you went out on your own after about 2 years of practicing, which I am always so impressed when people do that, especially women, to be honest with you, because I was kicking and screaming the whole time when I opened up right before I opened up my own law firm. I knew I was opening it up, and there was a part of me excited, but I had friends tell me for years, you should open up your own firm. Go fly. And I was like, I don't want to fly. Don't make me yet. And so what made you kind of make that decision 2 years in? And could you share with me your confidence so that it doesn't take me, an extra 10 years before I do it?
I was unhappy. I was unhappy with the firm I was with. I just felt like I wasn't practicing law. I actually felt like I was still a paralegal because there was so much red and yellow tape that I had to go through in order to take the case the way I wanted to go. Not only did I have to answer to the adjuster because I was an insurance defense attorney, but I also had to answer to the partner. And I just felt as though my voice wasn't being heard. Sometimes there were things I would say that we should have done with the case and I was literally ignored. And then 6 months later, exactly what I said in a memo is being done. And it was like, we could have done this 6 months ago and we wouldn't have to be preparing for trial. This is like insane. So, I decided that I wanted to actually practice law and not be a paralegal. I didn't go to law school to be a paralegal. And I knew that if I was to apply to another law firm, I would probably end up being an insurance defense attorney again. Because, it's hard once you have so much knowledge in one, in one practice area. It's kind of hard to shift into another practice area, especially if firms are looking at your resume and they're like, well, she only did insurance defense. Like, we don't want her as a personal injury attorney. So I said, you know what? I'm going to open my own firm. It's either now or never. I figured I had saved up enough money to last me and my son a significant amount of time. And I said, if it didn't work out, I can always apply to another firm. That's the way I look at things. I'm like, you don't know what's going to happen until you do it. So that's how I live my life, really. And plus I know how to make me happy. So that's what I did. Yeah. That's why I did it.
So the getting pigeonholed as a lawyer is so true after doing something for only a few years. And I tell young attorneys, if you're not happy in your first year to 2 years in that job, jump ship. Find a different area of law ASAP, because I've been practicing 26 years, and my friends who loved the area that they started in or, found early on are happy lawyers. And my friends who kind of stuck something out because the pay was really good or because that was the job that they got, hate being a lawyer.
And that's so sad to me.
Yeah, to work your whole life being miserable in the job you have.
Yeah. I don't like when I hear attorneys say things like, I wish I had gone to med school, or I wish I had, I'm just like, because I feel like if you don't have to love your job every day. Who loves their job every day? I have bad days as well, but 90% of the time I wake up and I'm happy, and it's very disheartening hearing my colleagues say that they don't love what they do. I think you have to love what you do to be effective.
Right. I agree. I agree. So the best part about having your own firm?
Oh my goodness, I can do whatever I want. No. I love being able to work any time I want. I love being able to say, okay, I'm not going to work Wednesday. I don't have trial. I don't have hearings. I don't have any motions. I have to, no deadline to file motions. Like, no, there's no order to file this motion. There's this brief or anything. I'm going to take Wednesday off and I'm going to work Saturday. I really enjoy the fact that I'm living the life I curated. And you can't do that working for anyone else.
Ah, that is so well said. So well said. Hardest or worst part about having your own law firm?
I don't like being, what do you call it? A bookkeeper. I really don't. I don't like managing my books and, collecting payments and, I really don't like that. I think eventually I might hire a bookkeeper because I really, really don't like it. That's the most difficult part for me. It's spending any amount of time going through my books.
Yeah, I agree with you. Although I'm going to make the caveat of I actually like collecting the money. I hate chasing down the money.
There we go. Yes, just come to the office and just send the funds. You know when your payments due. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That is true. So let me ask you, thoughts on criminal justice reform in New Jersey? We don't have the bail system anymore. Either people are detained until trial or released until trial if they're charged on a warrant.
Right.
We were told that this would be better for individuals charged who are indigent. It would be better for minority communities. It would be better to have a non-monetary bail, non-monetary system.
Right.
Do you think it's better?
I don't think it's better. To some degree, I've been successful with arguing to have my clients released. Thank God. I think I've only had like 2 clients that were unfortunately remanded until the case was resolved. But I got onto the end tail of those cases. But for the most part, I've been successful arguing for release. And I have colleagues who've had cases where the client's first time ever being in trouble with the law, and no one was, I shouldn't say no one was injured, but no one was seriously injured. And this guy's just sitting, just languishing in jail, waiting for the case to be resolved. I feel like, again, back to looking at the individual and not, I feel like most of the time, the prosecutors and the judges, not all judges, because I have some really amazing judges I've been in front of, they just look at the charges. Like, this is a serious charge. He should be remanded. He should be, he should
Detained.
Detained. I keep saying remanded. He should be detained. No, Your Honor. You can't just look at the charges themselves. You have to look at the individual. And here we know that there's a list of things you have to look at in order to determine whether or not an individual should be detained. Not just because the charges are serious. He's never been in trouble before. Put him on an ankle monitor, right? But in regards to the bail system, I kind of feel like we should, I don't know. I know the judges can still order bail, but I haven't had it happen at all in any of my cases. It's always ROR. But I feel like if they're going to just look at the charges, like, oh, this is a serious charge, I think this should be an option for that individual to post a bail instead of just having them languish in jail until the case is resolved. Especially that individual has never been in trouble before. And I'm not talking about serious crimes like mass
You're not talking about
shooting.
murder. You're not
No,
talking about,
absolutely not.
yes,
Absolutely
where
not.
there's a presumption of detention anyway.
E-
Yeah.
exactly. I'm not talking about someone who just killed their entire family or killed their girlfriend, husband, whatever. No, I'm talking about cases where I had a case where it was a second degree aggravated assault. My client really beat the crap out of someone. And it's not funny, but the reason why I'm laughing is because for you to have never been in trouble with the law before, and then this is like some serious stuff. The victim was in the hospital for quite some time, and it was like, no, this is a serious charge. He should be, detained. And I'm just like, I understand it's a serious charge,
Was the
but you have to look at,
recommendation detention or not?
yeah, it was detention.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was. See, I have a number of cases, Ava, where this recommendation recently, and I will say criminal justice reform has been around for 5 years now, since January of 2017. And when it first began, whatever the recommendation was, the judges were following. So if it was a release recommended, they followed it. And if it was a, recommendation of no release, they didn't release. I cannot tell you how many cases I've had in the last 2 months, and not just me, a lot of people with 1-1s and 1s-2s, no prior record, with a recommendation of release, and based on the nature of the charges, they're being detained.
No way. That's insane to me.
Yes, it is. Which is why sometimes I say the criminal justice system is not always just and is not always fair.
No, not at all. Absolutely not at all.
Doesn't get tied in a nice knot at the end like Law and Order does, where
no.
So I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. They're pretty easy questions, just to let you know, so you don't have to panic on this.
Okay.
What do you like to do to relax or unwind?
I love reading. I actually just got 2 new books, and I love traveling. I mean, if I can read and travel for the rest of my life, I would be a happy gal.
So I have to ask, what are the 2 books?
So the one I started reading last night, actually, and I'm halfway through it. It's called The Last Flight by Julie Clark. It's pretty interesting. I think it's probably going to be a movie. And then I have Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult.
Uh-huh.
They're both New York Times on the bestsellers list. So I'm excited to finish the first one tonight and start the second one tomorrow.
Wow. Yes. I love to read too. I will tell you, I have read Jodi Picoult books. I read one maybe 15 years ago, and I felt like I was so emotionally manipulated that I was like, I'm never reading this book, this author again. And where's your favorite travel place?
So far, it's been Paris, and I really enjoyed Costa Rica. I really did.
And your next trip, is it planned?
Yes, I'm going to Belize in September, and then in November, I'm spending 2 weeks in Italy.
Oh my goodness. I do want to go to Italy. I've been to Paris, but I have never been to Italy. So that is on my bucket list, I guess. Do you have a famous quote that inspires you or you keep going back to?
No, I don't have a famous quote. I make my own quotes up.
I love that. What's a quote that you have made up or look at that's an Ava quote?
It's hello, gorgeous. You can do anything.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
What makes someone a leader in your mind, and do you consider yourself a leader?
So a leader in my mind is someone who not only has a really good grasp on handling situations, whatever the situation may be, but someone who also listens to the individuals around them instead of just being tunnel vision about how they're going to deal with something. They're willing to listen to the other individuals and really incorporate the opinions of others into their final decision making. I feel like that makes a great leader, because you don't want to just be, you know, what you call it? What's his name? Hitler. Just, go around telling everyone what to do, but you want to incorporate the way other people think, because sometimes you might think you should resolve a situation this way, but someone's opinion might give you a thought that, oh, that's actually an easier way or a better way or more effective way to resolve this issue than what I previously thought.
Yeah. And I think that is what creativity, like when you are listening to other people, it creates a creative, innovative atmosphere for people to, give
right,
feedback.
Exactly.
Right. What advice would you give your younger self, or what would you say if you could talk to young Ava?
I would say you can do anything you put your mind to, and you should always persevere, and maybe you should leave the boys alone. Maybe.
I love that. As a mom of 4 kids and one girl, I think if I said, let's just forget about the boys for a while, all she would hear, and I wonder if you would have heard this too, is wah, 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 wah.
I'm pretty sure.
You're pretty sure young Ava would have.
That's exactly what I heard.
Exactly. Okay, my last question, which is everyone's last question, which is the easy one for most people. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color?
Mm-hmm.
You know my favorite color, Melissa.
Oh, I do, now that I asked it. You're going to be the first person other than me that says it, though.
It's pink.
It's pink. It is pink. I do get to see you wearing pink a lot now.
Yes, I love my pink.
I'd like to take a little kernel of inspiration for you to embrace your pink love.
Yeah, I actually had pink hair for like a month recently. You didn't get to see that, but I had pink pieces in my hair for a while.
I love that. I also have had pink in my hair.
I know, I saw that. I love it.
My kids, they're so sweet to me. When I did it, they were like, so this is the midlife crisis.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yes. So I'm going to say thank you so much. I hope that we can do this again. I love talking to you about the law, whether we're on the podcast or not. I love talking to you about cases. You are one of the women that continues to inspire me with your hard work, with your courage and bravery, which a little of it was starting your own law firm during the height of the pandemic, and really glad that we were able to do this today.
I am as well, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me. And I honestly wish that I, lived close to you, or my practice was closer to you, because I really appreciate talking to you about the law as well. I think you are brilliant.
That concludes our conversation and this series. Don't forget to subscribe for alerts. You're going to love our upcoming guests. Mighty MERP is available on iTunes, Spotify, and all your favorite apps and players. But the best way to experience the show is to visit mightymerp.com.